on the 105 freeway, went all the way to the end of the 105 freeway, all the way to the ocean basically, and then continued back eastbound. So here's the police helicopter. We're going to try to get eyes on the pursuit as it's going now northbound here. But Rick, I think we're going to have to reverse course, but we'll try to get eyes on the pursuit here in just a second. We lost it in that overpass.
Yeah, we did see it from our monitors when you were approaching, and we could see the speedometer going over 100 miles an hour. At one point I looked over, it was at 107 miles per hour. Again, this is a possible stolen vehicle. It was going on the West 105 to the 405. The Newton Division is in pursuit of this vehicle, and there we have eyes on it once again. Oh my gosh, how fast are they going?
He's going really fast, Sherry. You look at that white car there, it's blacked out. Now, unfortunately for us, we just transitioned over LAX. We're going to try to go back northbound over LAX. It's northbound on the 405 from the 105. So that was the trouble we had here, but now we're going to have to go back across the LAX airspace here and try to pick it up on the north side and pick it up around, well, somewhere around Century City maybe. I'm sorry, not Century City, but just north of the LAX area here, but high speed there, blacked out at times, and the LAPD trying to get CHP involved in this pursuit.
Hard to say if that is an accurate reading there. What we're seeing at the top right of our screen, we're a good distance from the subject, so it's difficult to get an accurate reading on the speed. But we can say for certainty that this is moving at very high speeds. And there you see the blacked out car, and you see what he's doing with other traffic, just blowing past him, clearly going upwards of 100 miles an hour, if not more. Such a dangerous way to maneuver on the freeway with your lights out like that. Drivers don't see you coming from behind and can often change lanes right in your path. We've seen this too many times, and it causes a violent collision. And at high speeds like that, it can be deadly. It looks as though he's moving off to the 90, Gil?
Yeah, that's right, Mike. Here's the transition. He's going a high rate of speed, hard on the brakes there to get on that curve. He's going to be going westbound on the 90 Marina Freeway. So he won't have too many options as far as this freeway goes, as far as any other interchanges. He'll have off-ramps to choose from, but at this point I believe it dumps him off onto Lincoln Avenue. But you see the LAPD as they come out to a wider shot in pursuit, the airship overhead. And again, this is a stolen vehicle out of the LAPD Newton Division.
Stolen vehicle out of the LAPD Newton Division, high rates of speed. As we're getting closer there, you can see that he is going north of 100 miles per hour. He has no lights on at all. And this is one of those dangerous situations where you just don't know what's coming at you. They do have the night sun on there, so hopefully you see how he almost just clipped that car on the freeway. At this hour, at least there isn't too much traffic, but it is terrifying to watch this car go. It looks like he turned his lights on now.
Yeah, now he's exiting here. So this is going to be Culver Boulevard, we believe, as the vehicle exits here, and luckily no traffic there. He's going to make that left-hand turn 9 o'clock, Rick, and he's going to go southbound Culver. And oh no, he's going to get back onto the freeway the other direction, so heading back to the 405.
And fortunately, the lights are back on. So the saving grace in all of this at this point is that he's driving with his lights on for a time, blacked out, going 100 miles an hour, not what you want to see on the freeway or on any road for that matter. Again, this is a stolen vehicle. LAPD's Newton Division initiating this pursuit just before 11 o'clock. We're looking at 15 to 20 minutes ago as the suspect. Hard to say if the driver is the lone occupant. We don't know at this point. We're doing our best to keep up with him, moving at, look at this, north of 110 miles an hour now, 106 miles an hour, very, very dangerous. And Sky 5 working to keep up with this suspect as the LAPD does the same. They are tracking the suspect not only on the ground with lights and sirens, but in the air as well. So a lot of law enforcement eyes on this suspect tonight.
What we're trying to gauge also what kind of vehicle this exactly is as he makes that wild decision to go from one freeway here to the exit. Is this an exit ramp? It looks like it might be onto another freeway.
The 405.
Into the 405, right. But this is, you see the night sun on him, and so he is being watched. He knows that for sure. As far as the other ground units, are they still in pursuit of this suspect?
Yes, Sheriff Micah, let me pull out wide. There's the ground units there in trail, almost a quarter mile behind. He's at such a high rate of speed. He used that gore point to get on the freeway. Now in the carpool lane, he's southbound on the 405 freeway, which again poses a problem for us because we got to cross back over to the LAX airspace. But no problem, we'll keep tracking here, and hopefully we won't lose the vehicle. He's got his headlights on, that's good news, but he is southbound heading back towards the 105 freeway.
And spending a lot of time on the freeway, which brings into question whether the CHP might take over. That, of course, is going to be up to the LAPD. They initiated this pursuit, and oftentimes when it spends a good amount of time on the freeway, CHP will take over. They're more familiar with the roads, and they have the manpower to switch out, as it were, from area to area if the pursuit continues over long distances on the freeway. But at this point, it's the LAPD show here, and, well, we're understanding now CHP has just taken over. So not a surprise to hear that, and something that they are well trained to do at these high speeds on the freeways of Southern California, and the pursuit now in the hands of CHP on the ground. Though LAPD airship will likely remain here overhead, and you see the night sun there from law enforcement in the sky.
Yeah, definitely the CHP is in pursuit now. They took it over southbound. Look at the speeds here. I'm looking at 116 on our speedometer here up here in Sky 5, but he's quickly approaching that 105 freeway, and we'll see which direction the driver decides to go. If he goes eastbound, he'll be going back towards where the pursuit came from, but if he goes westbound, he's going to end up at the shoreline again.
There's only so much a car can handle at those tires can handle at those high speeds. You know, we're still trying to figure out what kind of car it is, but nonetheless, eventually they'll thin out, and it'll be dangerous for everybody on the road going north of 110 miles per hour, now at 117. I mean, it is just frightening to watch. You're on the road, have no idea this is coming at you, and like you said, they're about a quarter mile behind him. Officers that are in pursuit of him are about a quarter mile behind him, but now we're looking for the CHP that has now taken over this pursuit. It's hard to keep up with a guy that's going 120 miles per hour on a freeway.
No doubt. Look at those speeds. We're quite a distance away from it. We're having to cross directly over LAX again, but it looks like he's committed past the 105 freeway now, and he's going to stay on that 405 southbound. So it's going to put him into the South Bay here very soon at these rates of speeds.
And continuing to move, the stolen car initiated by LAPD's Newton Division just before 11 o'clock. CHP has since taken over. This has spanned the 105, the 405, the 90 freeway, the 405 again as this pursuit continues, and at very high rates of speed. For a good portion of time, this driver was going blacked out, no headlights. Fortunately, he's made the wise decision to put the lights on there. It's just so dangerous when you're moving so quickly on the freeway. Other drivers, you don't expect to see this coming up behind you, particularly with no headlights on, and often you can't see. And if somebody changes a lane right in front of the car that's going 115 miles an hour, it does not end well for anyone involved. So good news that he's got the headlights on here. And again, CHP behind this stolen car that came out of the Newton Division to LAPD that initiated this pursuit. And now CHP on the ground, moving very, very quickly. Still over 100 miles an hour, and out go the lights again.
Sure. Out go the lights, over 100 miles an hour. CHP having to hand off to their next area, which is the South LA area from the West LA area. So, but that's okay. They are aware of it. They're going to set up that network of handoffs as it continues down the 405 southbound. But look at the speeds here, possibly getting over here to the slow lane to exit, but using all lanes, even the center divider and the shoulder of the road, but blacked out now, Can you imagine a car coming up this fast? You don't see it. It's completely blacked out. You change lanes to maybe get off or get over, and this guy's right on you. Terrible and scary situation for these drivers out here.
Yeah, it's hard to also to see what's happening in this car. The windows are heavily tinted, even in the driver's side. It's very difficult to see inside to see if there is only the driver, if there are other passengers in here. And we haven't been able to see this on surface streets. It's just been mainly here on the freeways at very high rates of speed. Now the lights are blacked out. The night sun off of him for just 1 second. But for those drivers that are on the road, you can only feel for them what they are experiencing when they have this rush from another car beside them and not really knowing what's going on, and then hearing those sirens from the CHP behind them. If you've been in California long enough, you've experienced this firsthand, and it can be a very terrifying experience nonetheless. But here we are making its way through the South Bay into the Torrance area on the 405 South, and going still at like 115 miles per hour, it seems like is the average. Yeah, for sure. Just past Van Ness at that high rate of speed. Looks like freeway conditions. Let me come out. He just turned his headlights back on, by the way. And look at this. Traffic is light, they're saying, and we're definitely seeing that up ahead. But such distance that he's traveled here already from the LAX area. He's just absolutely moving out here.
He is moving. CHP is on his tail. Not much they can do in terms of strategy, but stick with this driver at this speed. It's very difficult to really try and put any kind of plan together other than to keep eyes on him and stay behind him. It does not look as though it's a high-performance vehicle, and consider that when you see it moving at 115 miles an hour. Just exceptionally dangerous for a car and a driver. And you can see him start to lose the back end there just a little bit. And at the last minute, diving over. Gil, where are we?
Well, it's transitioning. Actually, it's the 110, not the 710 I was saying. It's the 110 southbound, I believe, he's going to be taking from the 405. So there he goes down the 110. There's the CHP unit in trail. I'll come out wide since we have a distance here to go, but at least two units there in trail as he goes high rates of speed down the 110 freeway from the 405 at this point.
110 south has made his way through the westbound 105. That's where we caught up with him initially to the 405, and then made a U-turn back onto the 105, and now has decided to transition in a wild fashion from the 405 to the 110 south. It's been really just intense. It's been intense to watch and to see this car just moving from, the carpool lane all the way to the exit lane and putting so many people in danger.
And a choice to be made here as the 110, as you know, ends in the Wilmington-San Pedro area. This driver's going to be forced off the freeway at some point unless he decides to get off and jump back on in the other direction, which he's been known to do here.
But look at the speeds on this, Pat. This driver has been flying at well over 100 miles an hour the entire time. We're still shooting this a bit from a distance. It took us some time to catch up with this. So it started off of the 110 freeway, flew down to the 105, circled around LAX, then came back on the 105, went north 405, and then doubled back. And now we are flying down towards the ports of Los Angeles here, southbound on the 110 with CHP in pursuit. LAPD's helicopter overhead, Pat.
Hey, do you know what kind of vehicle this is, Desmond?
Oh, we have not been able to catch up.
100 miles an hour at least.
Get the model. Yeah, I haven't been able to get the model on that just yet. I believe it's a sedan. We'll see if I can get that for you here shortly as we get closer. So at about 100 miles an hour, there's just been a lot of chatter here with the CHP. They're actually saying that if he gets off of the freeway that they may back out and just let the airship follow this and see if LAPD wants to get back involved. Again, a stolen vehicle pursuit. Unclear how many people are in the car right now, but we have seen some insanely high speeds on this one.
Yeah, we're still looking at insane high speeds. If looking at our map tracker, Desmond, that's why I asked if we knew what kind of vehicle this was. Now, you say this started on the 110 southbound and then ended up on the 405, then back on the 110 southbound. So I'm not a lot of distance, would you say, at this point?
Well, it actually, we first heard about it on the 110, and then it went to the 105 west over towards LAX. And then after circling around LAX, then came back to the 405 northbound. So we have actually covered a fair amount of distance, but we've been at triple-digit speeds pretty much the entire time on this one, and it looked like CHP may have even just had a different unit come and get engaged in this one, maybe handing it off to another unit. And you see the spotlight there overhead, LAPD. It's going to be LAPD's helicopter regardless of what happens. We hear that CHP's helicopter is actually down for the night. So getting off of the freeway now, we'll see where this is going to go. Getting down towards the San Pedro area, and we'll see if those really, really crazy speeds are going to continue on streets and see where this person's going, because they have covered quite a bit of ground.
Okay, yeah, so I'm thinking 110 southbound 405 freeway, so that is a distance, but certainly trying to gauge where this possibly happened in the first place. We don't know that, who this vehicle could have belonged to, if it was stolen from a dealership or any of those facts right now. We just know that this person has exited the freeway and is now in a fairly, it looks like, well, residential and business neighborhood. I'm looking at some apartment buildings. Well, that was a close call there, Desmond.
Yeah, a bit of a close call. Now we're getting into San Pedro on Gaffey Street. This is where the 110 would end on to Gaffey Street, and so headed southbound. And we'll see what the suspect does. I mean, this is going to dead end, obviously, once you head down towards the ports. It's a mixture of residential and businesses. Gaffey's kind of the business district street here for San Pedro. And CHP may be backing off a little bit on the ground. That's what they were talking about doing if they got off the freeway. That's what the suspect did. They still have the spotlight overhead, and they're probably going to keep that spotlight on even if they go into a sort of tracking mode, just because this person has been driving so fast that if they don't keep that spotlight on, they're liable to lose the vehicle. There you see blowing through another red light. There was somebody on a bicyclist who had the right-of-way, had no idea that this crazy person was coming.
Yeah, it looks like he's blown through at least 3 red lights so far just since the time that he's exited the freeway. Look at this. In the wrong lane.
Lose IFB.
You know what? When we talked about heading to the ports, you know, Desmond, you've covered some very strange pursuits in Southern California, and if I'm not mistaken, I do remember a couple that ended up actually at the port of Los Angeles, winding through all of those where the containers and other things at the docks. It was just very, very strange. And we've seen some that were pretty, well, that was another close call there. You know, I don't want to say, well, it was horrendous. Some people that actually have climbed up on those apparatuses and jumped or fell to their death. So I'm just bringing that up simply because you mentioned this person heading to the ports, and that could present another difficult situation.
Is their home neighborhood or what?
Okay, maybe, Desmond, then I'm not going to go through what I just said to you. I don't think you were able to hear what I was saying. We're talking about the ports and some of the pursuits that we have seen over the years that have ended up at the actual ports of Los Angeles. Can you repeat what you just said, Desmond?
Yeah, there we go. I got you now, Pat. I think we got our technical difficulties solved. So we're on Gaffey Street here, but you see this is going to end as we get down near the Point Furman area. And then the suspect's really going to be, the farther down they go, the more limited their options are going to be as to where they want to go next. They could go towards Palos Verdes. That would be very precarious if you get onto Palos Verdes Drive. You know, that's a narrow street with some winding turns right up against the hillside and the coast. Which is kind of where this person's going. Otherwise, this is just going to end near the ports of LA and down near the Point Furman area. And it may actually be LAPD that is going to be getting back into pursuit of this vehicle, blowing through the stop sign there, because after getting off the freeway, CHP was saying that they're going to back off on the ground and just kind of hang back on this one. But LAPD still there from the air, getting into a parking lot. So we're pretty close to the beach right now. Paseo del Mar, Gaffey Street, over the curb there. Wow, for no reason. Might lose a tire if he does that again, especially at that speed. There's no units behind this person right now, so maybe just running on pure adrenaline at this point.
Yeah, because you wonder, what is it? We're doing that to try to get away? So, like making a an effort, a circular effort, so to speak, in certainly the wrong fashion that, as you mentioned, certainly could disable this vehicle. Now another wild turn there. Is that Pacific Avenue? You wonder, Desmond, does he know where he's going? I say he. We're assuming that this is a he behind the wheel, but you wonder if he has some place in mind or if he's just driving aimlessly.
Yeah, I mean, now that they're doubling back like this, it makes me wonder if they have any idea. I mean, looked really confused in that parking lot. I think that was right at the very end of Gaffey Street, and then just kind of panicked into that parking lot, and it might have just been one way in and out, so they went over that curb. Now on Pacific Avenue, another major north-south street here. So now coming back towards the 110, going away from the ports, maybe realizing that they were running out of land there as they were going down towards the ports and going right underneath us here. But we've had some pretty high speeds here on these streets as well. We've seen speeds getting up to maybe 70, here you go, 70,
80.
even 80 miles an hour on these streets. Boy, if you've got somebody out for a late night jog or a bike ride, this is just really nerve-wracking to watch.
So, you know, did he just drive like that to get around that vehicle that was in front of him? This is really, we've seen him driving in dangerous speeds, but this now, if we're getting to another, you know, there are people out, apparently. This looks like there are still some businesses that are, you know, lined on either side of the streets, possibly some restaurants. But this person now is just really almost 70 miles an hour. And again, you wonder, do they know where they're going? Now they're making another turn on West 17th Street. This is a darker area,
going
not
towards
as well
the ports
lit.
here.
Going back toward the ports.
Yeah, this is going to go over towards one of the bays. I think we're kind of headed towards Cabrillo Beach right now on 17th Street. So, you know, going to probably run out of some land here as well. It's going to hit the water if they continue to go this way. So we'll see, you know, if this panic driving continues and what their next move is going to be. I have to wonder, you know, I hate to say it, Pat, but, you know, when we've seen it now multiple times with these stolen vehicle pursuits where LAPD, when it starts getting as crazy as it is, that they might just let this go if this was not stolen by violent means and it's just considered property crime. Then some of these watch commanders, the way some of these pursuits have gone, you know, it's very possible that they could terminate this completely. Now you see the lights out at 65 miles an hour. All right, turn it back on. But you're actually, but you're not seeing the spotlight now. Now the spotlight is not on. So it sounds like they might be in tracking mode at this very moment.
Yeah, blew through another red light there, and you don't see any black and whites behind this car. And as you said, they turned off the spotlight. That is hopefully to, you know, maybe tamp this down a bit, maybe have this driver slow down. Of course, we've seen that go in either direction, right? Both ways. Either they can pull back, the law enforcement, and these drivers will either slow down a bit or they even speed up, thinking that possibly they can get away. And then again, I guess the adrenaline could be pumping so fast, Des, that they don't really know for sure if they're still following them or not. But it looks as if, as you mentioned, we don't see. Oh, go ahead.
Well, there was the spotlight just came on just for a second there. There is LAPD going through our shot right there. So, and there was actually a cruiser that was sitting opposite going southbound on
There's
Harbor.
another.
So all of the units are aware. Yeah, all of the units are aware of where this person is. There's a lot of talk going back and forth about this person's location and what direction they're headed, so that they have units standing by all over the place. I think we're going to be getting on the Vincent Thomas Bridge now. Yeah, Highway 47. So the suspect's going to be committed to this bridge no matter what they do. There you see LAPD coming through our shot once again. So now we're going to be headed towards the Long Beach area, eastbound on the Vincent Thomas Bridge.
All right, and as you had mentioned, again, Des, sometimes they will just back off of this altogether. They have the plates, and if they don't know that, as you mentioned, that this was something that could be related to another crime, a violent crime of some sort, they could back off, you know, unless they just really want to follow this person wherever he's going, which he doesn't seem to really have a place in mind, so to speak, because we've seen him act like he was going toward the ports, turn around. Now he's on the Vincent Thomas Bridge. We thought he was going to Cabrillo Beach, but now he's on his way to Long Beach. So just don't know at this point.
No, and they're going to be committed to this bridge for some time here, unless they want to go into. I mean, if this person tries to go into one of the port exits, they're really going to get lost with all of the big containers there. That's definitely very complicated down there.
Yeah.
So it's probably best just for this suspect to get out of the way of the ports at this point, if they're going to continue this. And now you got to wonder, is Long Beach PD going to be getting involved? LAPD is now the lead agency again on this. It is their helicopter. They are in tracking mode at the moment. So they are just keeping eyes from the ground, from a distance, from the air, much more closely. They may be communicating with Long Beach, or we'll see if they want to stick with this. But at this point, LAPD getting a pretty far, decent ways away from home. Now that we're talking about Long Beach, over on the right-hand shoulder now of the bridge, and again up to about 90 miles an hour, and we'll be transitioning to the Gerald Desmond Bridge. Actually, I can't remember if it's still called that. I know they were going to be renaming that bridge for somebody else, but we'll be getting ready to go over that beautiful brand new bridge here shortly. Just going right by that semi, and you can see just how much faster this person is going.
Now he's
than
driving.
The semi's coming away from the ports right now.
Oh, for sure. Well, I remember you talking. You featured the Gerald Desmond Bridge, Desmond. I remember you talking about that in one of your Look at This segments. So, and now look, he's going over 100 miles an hour.
There we go. Over 100 miles an hour, and pretty much has this bridge to themselves here. There's 3 lanes now. This bridge used to be 2, now it's 3, and you have that bike lane right there as well. Just widen out and show everybody. We don't get to show it too often. Beautiful bridge here.
It is beautiful.
As you make your way towards Long Beach. I believe it's one of the largest bridges of its kind in the world, just while we have a second to get that out there. But eastbound. So we'll be coming into downtown Long Beach now at this point. This will either go, there's exits to, well, there's several exits. They could either go to the Queen Mary, I believe, and the cruise ship terminal, or towards downtown Long Beach. Otherwise, this will go to the northbound 710. And now that we're back on the freeway, now it sounds like this is bouncing back to CHP. But again, it will be LAPD's helicopter that will be sticking overhead this one.
Okay, that was my next question. We know the CHP was engaged for a while, and then they backed off, but they certainly could possibly re-engage this driver now.
Yeah, they are standing by. I'm listening to the dispatchers talk about it right now. They're just trying to get in position. Units that may be in downtown Long Beach are getting ready to get in position so that they can jump on this. Once this suspect flies right by them, then they can get on the freeway and continue to have a ground presence on this one. You saw that spotlight flickering on and off again. Now that it's CHP, LAPD will probably be more liberal with that spotlight. Shining it on them, since CHP will be in this. CHP, to my understanding, I've talked to a couple of highway patrol officers, and they tell me they don't follow. They either pursue or they don't pursue. So if CHP is in this, we should be seeing units getting into position here in a relatively short period of time, and then we'll see where this heads next. I mean, we're really covering a lot of Southern California ground now at this point.
We are now. It's almost as if they're going on I'm not trying to make light of this, but almost like a road trip in Southern California. So we've seen this driver from southbound 110, the 405 South, got back on the 110 and is now on the 710 freeway. So it doesn't really seem like this person has a rhyme or reason as to where they are going. They could possibly be lost. They drove across the beautiful Vincent Thomas Bridge. So we've certainly seen some very nice landscapes as far as that is concerned. We're going to be on KCAL 9 News very shortly. And while you join CBS In Progress, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, we're also streaming on CBSLA.com and also on KCAL 9. And we are following a stolen vehicle. Our Desmond Shaw is overhead in Sky 9, and we believe that this is a sedan of some sort. We will be on KCAL 9 in about 5 seconds, so you've been warned. And there we go with the switch. We are now on KCAL 9 and streaming on CBSLA.com. We've been following the stolen vehicle pursuit that has covered quite a bit of ground in the southern part of LA County. Certainly on the 110 freeway, the southbound 110 ended up on the 405, back on the 110, now on the 710 in Long Beach. And our Desmond Shaw has been following this. This is a sedan of some sort, but this driver has reached speeds of 100 miles per hour and over. He has had, the LAPD was involved, CHP at one time. They backed off, but let's go back up to Desmond Shaw because we understand the CHP has possibly re-engaged with this vehicle. Des? All right, we're efforting to get Desmond back on the air. He's probably...
Pat, I'm
oh,
sorry.
there you go. Sure. No, you get more information.
Communication issues again. So let me just recap this pursuit for you as we are flying along on the northbound 710 at over 100 miles an hour. This is a stolen vehicle pursuit initiated by LAPD's Newton Division, so not too far away from downtown LA. This went south 110, westbound 105, kind of looped around LAX, back on the 105 to the north 405, came off briefly into the Marina Del Rey area, and then back on the southbound 405, took it all the way down to the 110, and we were just on surface streets of San Pedro. It was getting pretty hairy there for a while with some high speeds. It looked like this suspect was panicked, confused in the area, came across the Vincent Thomas and the Gerald Desmond bridges. Now we are northbound 710. Triple-digit speeds continue here as we make our way, well, up towards, we're past the North Long Beach area here, going to be headed towards all those little cities south of downtown LA, Southgate, Huntington Park, Vernon, what have you here. Just crazy speeds here northbound on the 710 freeway, Pat.
Yeah, and you know, tell our viewers, we're not exactly sure. We understand that this is... the want is a stolen vehicle, and Desmond, you have indicated that there have been times, of course, where law enforcement could back off of this altogether if this was not a part of an act of a violent crime that was committed. But they right now are still committed with trying to get this driver to give up. Because, you know, Desmond, when you think about it, there's not much they can do at this time, especially with this driver driving as fast as he is and he's on the freeway. You know, they'd have to get way ahead to try some kind of, say, spike strip, and this freeway is certainly too wide for something like that, and he's driving so fast that that would be a dangerous move. So they can either just follow him from the air, follow him on the ground until this person gives up, or they just decide to, you know, say, all right, we'll catch up with this driver later at some point.
I think you're right about that. This doesn't strike me as one of those pursuits where they're going to be using spike strips just way too fast all over the place. There's tons of other people around here as well. And let's see what they do, if they're going to clip back at the very last second. They've done that a couple of times, but no. I believe we're going to be headed towards the 105 freeway right now.
So yep, back to the
105, which, I mean, back to the 105, and it's just crazy. It's just insane how much distance we've covered right there. You saw in less than 5 minutes from downtown Long Beach up here to the 105 freeway. That's a drive that could take 40 minutes easily during rush hour. So slowing down at least over this curve to about 80 miles an hour. So yeah, kind of headed back to the scene of the crime, starting to loop back around. Again, this started in LAPD's Newton Division, and so kind of headed back that way. We were thinking when they were in the San Pedro area that maybe they were getting into a neighborhood that they knew, but it certainly didn't seem like it after they got off the freeway with all the confusion that this driver seemed to be exhibiting. So let's see if they are headed somewhere that they know here, as we're right at about 100 miles an hour. Good that we're off the 710 at least, even though the freeway's lightly traveled at this time of the evening. You see just how slow semis are, and the 710 is all about semi-truck traffic, and there was a lot of it on there. So at least the suspect not going to be interacting with any slow-moving vehicles at this point, or less of them, I should say.
Yeah, that's a good thing, Desmond. You know, we were talking earlier, and I love listening to you, of course, calling these pursuits where we thought for a moment this guy could end up in the water because he was running out of road. And we thought he possibly knew, right? I mean, we possibly knew where he could be going, but now that's very questionable at this point because he's going back in the same direction from whence he came, as you said, the scene of the crime, so to speak. So at this point, you know, they're just driving now on the 105 freeway, and hopefully, now are they making an exit? again?
No, over towards the carpool lane here. I don't
Okay.
believe there's any carpool lane exits for the westbound 105. There might be one for the 110. I can't quite remember at this point. We will certainly learn shortly because we're already at Wilmington Avenue. We're going to be back at the 110 here in no time flat. Just widen out and see, do we have CHP behind this driver at this point? We do not. We just have the spotlight there from LAPD's helicopter, which, by the way, has a fresh tank of fuel. They did a switch off when we were over the San Pedro area, so they're going to have continuous eyes from the sky. If this driver was hoping to ditch the spotlight from the air, it's not going to happen because of low fuel. And speaking of, is that how this is going to end? Is this going to end with the driver running out of fuel? Because the way this is going right now, it looks like that might be the only way this is going to come to an end. Not going to see a pit maneuver. Does not look like we're going to see spike strips with the way this one's going either.
All right, and that certainly is that possibility too, that they're just going to drive as long as they can and then possibly give up. Unless we've seen these kind of scenarios before, Desmond, where they try to ditch the vehicle, and sometimes they do because they may just have the spotlight over it and there may not be ground units in place, but at the same time, they do have the plates on this vehicle anyway. But we have not seen them. We've seen them make an exit and drive through some residential and business areas, but ending up back on the freeway. And at this point, really no rhyme or reason as to where this person could be going and what they plan to do. All right, now there's a sharp, I don't know what they were trying to do there.
It seems like the suspect, when they get to some of these exits for some of these junctions, they almost cut over like they're going to get over and make that transition and then cut back at the last second. But this person's not juking anyone right now. There's no units behind them right now, and it turns out what the issue is that this driver is going so fast, actually going between the borders of so many different CHP jurisdictions that it's kind of been bouncing back and forth. And as soon as one unit gets in place and gets ready to get engaged, they go into someone else's area, and then they have to kind of re-coordinate that. And apparently that's what we're hearing. That's what the holdup has been from CHP. So yeah, I kind of got to wonder if CHP, I don't know any other way to put this, but it has their heart in this one, because this didn't start with them. This started with LAPD. We've seen pursuits before. Their lights are off right now, by the way, at 100 miles an hour, blacked out. And so all it's going to take is somebody making a lane change and not see this person flying up behind them, and it's going to cause a crash. But we just have to see if CHP is going to get serious about this, because, again, this didn't start with them. And we've seen pursuits before where it gets handed off to them, and then you can almost just sense that they are ready to give it up the second it gets off the freeway. And that's actually what happened with this earlier. When this one got off the freeway, the watch commander said, when this gets off the freeway, we're backing off. LAPD spotlight overhead, they can handle this, but we're backing off. And that just kind of tells you, look, this was a stolen vehicle. This doesn't seem to be a violent crime. And this is just increasingly what we're seeing, Pat, is that a lot of these agencies don't want to chase nearly as aggressively as they used to. Even CHP, which really seems to be the most aggressive of the agencies, sometimes you see these situations, if it's dangerous and it's a property crime, where they just don't seem to be as aggressive as in pursuing this suspect.
And, we have seen obviously some pursuits that have ended so tragically involving innocent drivers. So that could be something else that they're thinking about, Desmond, in terms of what's the risk here in terms of getting this person to stop and to give up peacefully, and do they need to actually follow this person on the ground for a very, very long distance? Well, there they are. We see them. As soon as we talked about that, we see this unit right behind him. And look at him picking up speed.
Well,
boy, he stepped on the gas now.
And you're right. Look at that. We're going more than 30% faster. We were already going 100 miles an hour. Now getting up to between 120, 130 once they saw those lights behind them. But, it's just interesting to see the the suspect flying along as they were, and then they can see the lights, and then going even faster. And are their lights still out? They are. Their lights are still out at this point, and then going even more quickly. And we all know, especially on these roads at night, if someone's just getting off the late shift or something like that, and they make a lackadaisical lane change or something, this is going to end very badly. But you're right, Pat. Public safety is increasingly a factor for these agencies. We cover those horrific endings to these pursuits, all too common, and all of the heartbreak and frankly litigation that results from that. So we'll see what happens, but this is going to be complicated as we come near the end of the 105 and
to LAX.
Into the dreaded LAX airspace.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at those exits there. Across Sepulveda Boulevard now in Westchester. And again, with lights off. Well, he's just, are those stop lights or put on the brakes?
Brake lights and a turn signal. You've got the headlights off, but the turn signal on. Go figure.
Ooh, and there's
blasting through that one. But look at that CHP unit that was right there. So they are now kind of gathering in mass, and you see the great communication there, how that unit who was northbound on Sepulveda was able to meet the suspect just like that. So of course now we're going underneath the tunnel, and look, you got LAPD's helicopter here. They're at a disadvantage as well. They've got to talk to LAX just like we do. We're going to watch the other side of the tunnel and see them come out, and yep, there we go. All right, didn't take too long. So hopefully we can hold this shot, and if LAX will be benevolent enough to let us cross over midfield and hopefully continue to bring you a good shot on this.
All right, well, he's coming into some traffic now, Desmond. Let's see what he's going to do. Oh, people are trying to cross the street. Close call there, running through red lights, and the lights are off again.
Yep, and lights off again. I mean, we're right by LAX, which is busy 24/7, pretty much. Even as we close in on midnight, you can see how many folks are around the airport right now. And let's see if the suspect is going to go northbound on Lincoln towards the Westchester area or onto Sepulveda. It looks like they are going to take Lincoln. Yeah, right here, Lincoln Boulevard. So this little section is almost like a freeway. This will lead over towards the Westchester neighborhood and
Marina?
Loyola Marymount University, and back towards, the Marina, Playa Vista, Marina Del Rey, which we were at earlier. Briefly, when we were just about to get on this pursuit, this person was briefly in that area. So boy, really just, we thought maybe they were coming back to kind of the scene of the crime, so to speak, but not so much. Just continuing to cover a lot of ground here. We've been on, I think, 5 different freeways, all kinds of different major boulevards and surface streets, and northbound Lincoln Boulevard, part of Pacific Coast Highway here. LAPD got through the airspace okay, and they've got their spotlight trained on this driver like a hawk.
Oh, wow, they are really, come from all angles. I saw a cruiser right at the corner. I forgot the name of that street. I should know that area pretty well. I used to live over there. But, they have really, they've got the call out, so they certainly know where this driver is. And again, more red lights. Driving on Lincoln Boulevard through Westchester, and there are still some businesses that could be open.
Yeah, absolutely. Lincoln Boulevard, especially as we get up towards, the Venice. We'll see how far north this goes. They go up towards Venice, but, there's quite a few restaurants and bars that could be open late in that area. This section of Lincoln Boulevard, pretty deserted at this point, also pretty wide, but here's CHP. I don't know if they heard me there. I wasn't trying to insult them earlier, but all of a sudden they are
They're
starting
back on the
to,
case.
they are back on it here on the ground. And as we are getting ready to go over Bayona Creek, I believe, and we'll see if the suspect gets back on the 90 freeway, the shortest freeway around.
Or if he continues on to Santa Monica. Now he's making a turn, Des. He's doing a U-turn.
So, and so now I've got to wonder, Pat, is this person trying to lose the spotlights in LAPD's airspace? Is this not this person's first rodeo? Because we have definitely seen that before. There's been a pursuit, a stolen vehicle pursuit, where a suspect lost 4 different helicopters by going into LAX's airspace. And I have to wonder now if this is intentional, going back, reversing course. Because they did this earlier, too. They were around LAX. Oh, no, really close there. Oh, barely avoided that.
Yeah,
oh,
that was
boy,
awful.
this person who was making that, that person who was making that turn probably saw them out of the corner of their eye like, what is this person doing? And the suspect just dodged them at the very last second there. There might have been even a little bit of paint traded, I'm not sure, but that poor person definitely shaken up. That was definitely the closest call we have had so far, and just continuing to go through red lights, and let's see if that's going to change the strategy again for CHP after that really, really close call. Are they going to stick with this or not?
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to stick. They certainly aren't speeding up to catch up with this guy right now. And look at that. Okay, there's still some traffic on Lincoln Boulevard at this hour, but that was one of the closest, as you mentioned, closest calls that we've seen so far. Driving with the lights off, and you know, if you've ever been behind one of these, or in front, I should say, and you got something, a car like this coming up behind you with no lights on, driving at those kinds of speeds, it does shake you up. It's happened to me before on more than one occasion, and it's, you know, it startles you because you don't see them coming, and then by the time they're there, you don't know whether to get to your left or to your right, and that could be a very bad move, and sometimes could prove deadly in some cases. But no, they're back on him, Desmond. They're staying with him.
No, they are.
That spotlight, too.
And I can tell you, LAX is going to be really aggravated with all of this going on right now. You know, these poor controllers have to deal with so much. And now, you know, here comes us, and then LAPD down low. And so they're going to clear them through as we are back southbound on Sepulveda. But this is already now, they spent some time in this airspace earlier before we got here. And that was now, I'm just so cynical about these pursuits. Oh, got some construction here on southbound Sepulveda, so now really kind of squeezing by some traffic right by a bus right there. And they're actually backing out at this moment because of that construction. We just heard that authorities are backing out. We'll see if that is permanent or if they're going to try to re-engage this. They may just monitor this from the air for a little bit until it gets a little bit safer. But I was just saying, the suspect was already in this airspace earlier, kind of hanging around, and I was wondering if that might have been intentional to try to ditch the eyes from the air. And we'll widen out as we go underneath the runways at the second busiest airport in the country, one of the busiest in the world at LAX. And as we'll be coming out, wait a minute, is that, no, that's not the suspect. Hold on a second. There we go. There they are right there.
Yep, the car with no lights on.
The authorities know. Yeah, that sticks out for sure. So it looks like we're going to be getting on
Imperial Highway.
I believe we're going to be on
back to
Imperial or the
105.
105. Yeah, back onto the 105, and once again the suspect going underneath us. My pilot Chris doing a fantastic job on this one. This is a particularly difficult one. We got to spin the camera around as we make it eastbound on the 105, and I will zoom back in on this one. So we actually had a pretty seamless transition through that airspace, though, at the very least. But now eastbound, see what they do at the 405, just aimlessly leading authorities on a, hate to say a joyride, but it kind of seems like that's what it is at this point.
Yeah, it does, Des, with really no end in sight at this point. Back and forth. I love how you talked about Chris doing some great work up there. Those have been some fantastic shots, by the way. Those aerials are really, I want to say picturesque. It's kind of difficult to talk about these kinds of things sometimes to describe exactly what's going on. So tell Chris the shots have certainly made a difference. And here's this guy again. Well, all right, he put his brake lights on for a minute, or he turned his lights back on for just a little bit here. But basically doing the same thing, just driving, high rates of speed, coming up on some residential areas or residential streets, then getting back on different freeways. I think you mentioned at least 5 different freeways, Desmond, and he's been, same trajectory. He'll go on one, and then we saw him make a U-turn and just get back on the same freeway that he traversed. So at this point, not really sure as to what his plan is or where he's going. I know you said you think that he's done this. This is not his first time at the rodeo, because he does seem to make some maneuvers where he's trying to especially with LAX airspace, or like he's outsmarting law enforcement, but we know that's not the case. They know most of the tricks in the book by now.
Yeah, it's just really tough because, you know, if you're dealing with, I guess, I don't know if you would, you know, consider maybe a veteran car thief or someone who's been involved in this. I mean, we have seen some suspects get away when it seemed inevitable that they were going to get in custody if they just did something outrageously dangerous, and then they knew of a nearby parking garage where they get in, ditch the vehicle while they have maybe a 30-second leeway, and they get away. So I'm wondering if that's what this suspect is trying to do, or if they're just dragging this out, if they have any plan at all, if they're calling friends, if they're calling their lawyer. You know, this does seem to be particularly aimless, though, with this one. You know, going through that LAX airspace, I was just kind of hypothesizing maybe that's what the suspect was trying to ditch the air support. But you see CHP, they are getting pretty aggressive with this now. They've backed off at times. But, I mean, now, you know, I wonder, well, they've been in pursuit so long now at this point.
Oh, look how close
you know,
this
maybe
is.
they're going to keep with it. Yep, now onto the left-hand shoulder, and all it's going to take is a big chunk of debris sitting there in that right-hand lane, and you know, this suspect's tires are going to be toast. But in the carpool lane now, which does offer a transition to the 110. Nope, go ahead over to the right again at the last second. Again, trying to kind of juke the authorities, kind of a common tactic, and might be doing it again. Let's see if they're actually going to stay in the carpool lane. No, just kind of straddling the carpool lane. And we are now. Did we already pass the 110? Trent? No, we haven't passed it yet. Not yet. No, we're coming up on the 110 transition, going right in between vehicles there. You kind of surprisingly, you know, decent traffic here. A little bit more crowded on the eastbound side than it was earlier on the westbound side. That's for sure.
That's true, and you know, you have to say this person has pretty much control of this vehicle, and you know, with the rate of speed that they're going. But, you know, law enforcement has got to be aggravated because at this point, this driver, he's just, you know, playing tricks, trying to get to wherever he's going to go, which knows the jig is going to be up at some point. So they're just going to continue until they can, I guess, unless they run out of gas, because, as you've mentioned, he's covered quite a bit of territory so far.
Yeah, you know, especially just by virtue of the speed they've been going. I mean, we've had pursuits that, you know, I mean, this has been going on for, well, I mean, I guess this has been going on for a decent amount of time now. We're closing in on about 45 minutes. But, yeah, we've covered a lot of miles. And, you know, how much gas was in the tank of this Kia sedan? Probably run-of-the-mill gas mileage, I'm guessing, on the high. Well, at these speeds, probably, you know, sub 20 miles per gallon. And right in between there, gosh, it's got to be so nerve-wracking for these folks out here tonight. But, you know, going these speeds, obviously, you guzzle that gas a lot more quickly. And if this person didn't have a full tank of gas, then, you know, how much longer can this physically even go on?
And so many violations. I'm saying this, Desmond, because I can't tell you how many times I want to get in the carpool lane and I'm driving by myself. This person just doesn't care because, right, they're in and out, doesn't matter to them. And CHP obviously still behind. We've got the spotlight overhead. LAPD chopper, correct? They're the ones with the spotlight on this vehicle?
Yeah, that's right.
And they were involved in the first place. And then once this guy went to the freeway, CHP got involved and they backed off for quite some time. LAPD seemed to back off. That was pretty close, Desmond. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean, it is actually, I was going to say, Pat, earlier that the driving on the freeway, besides the speeds, didn't seem really dangerous, not nearly as much so anyway on surface streets, but now it is starting to, as we're seeing this traffic pick up, and this driver just not afraid to zigzag between cars, kind of, you know, straddle the lane there to get in between whatever vehicles they have to keep up these speeds. Yeah, in and out of the carpool lane. I know we've all been tempted at one point or another, especially on the 405 or the 105 right here. But, boy, that is a hefty ticket, more than $500 now, I believe, if you were to do that. So, okay, that was interesting. There was CHP. So, boy, that happened so quickly. I'm not even sure what was happening there. But
like
they were
CHP in the middle of the freeway, right?
Yeah, they had a break, and they might have just been for something unrelated. If CHP, I'm wondering if they were running a traffic brake for some kind of hazard or stalled vehicle or something. Maniac just came right up on him, and got pretty close there to the officer and some people that were nearly stopped. And if this person wasn't paying close attention, they could have been like hitting a brick wall at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not the case as we transition now once again to the 710. And looks like we're going to be headed northbound on the 710 here. And, where are we off to now on our stolen vehicle freeway tour as we get ready to hit Wednesday morning?
Oh, yeah, Des, I don't mean to chuckle, but you said that perfectly, our tour. Okay,
Yeah.
the 710, because, now he's in Compton.
He's in Compton, and then shortly he'll be in Southgate, Bell Gardens. We're gonna fly through all of those little cities south of downtown Los Angeles, depending on how far this suspect goes and if they're going to stay on the freeway or not. I wonder if that rattled the suspect at all, seeing CHP up there with that traffic brake. I've never seen them run a traffic brake in front of a pursuit like that, so which makes me think that was just a really bad coincidence, but just glad that didn't end horrifically.
Okay, but the possibilities again, not too many, Desmond, besides this person running out of gas or them just saying, oh, forget about it and trying to catch up with them later, because it's not much they can do in terms of spike strips, that's for sure, and has not given them an opportunity to do any kind of pit maneuver because of the speeds that this person is driving right now. So he's just going aimlessly, either until he gives up, runs out of gas, or law enforcement just lets it go. But they haven't up until this point. They have backed off and then re-engaged. And at some point, we've always talked about this, or you certainly have made a point of saying this, just when you think law enforcement has backed off, they show up. And sometimes they really show up in force. You see them, you don't see them coming, and all of a sudden they're there at an intersection. So they're certainly communicating with other law enforcement agencies, and you talked about different border cities. They do talk to each other, and they seem to want to follow this for the time being. And we've been on this, as you mentioned now, for about going up to an hour, almost an hour. Well, now this is the closest I think we've seen.
Yeah,
CHP to
we
this.
haven't had CHP in the same frame for quite some time. So, they are definitely involved and fairly aggressive on this one. This is the only unit that is in pursuit at the moment. Again, probably trying to get other units in place. As soon as one gets in place, they go into a different area, and then they're trying to get other units lined up as well. And you just see how many resources can be consumed on a pursuit like this. In addition to obviously, watching crime right now take place late night in Southern California, it's just such a drain on resources, and that's what just can be so frustrating, in addition to the obvious, danger to everyone around this person right now. But you've had so many different CHP officers involved. You had officers in LAPD Newton that started this, officers down in San Pedro in the Harbor Division that were aware of this, and we're keeping a visual of this. We're on our second LAPD helicopter, and we would probably have another helicopter. In fact, we would have CHP's helicopter. I believe it sounds like it's down for maintenance tonight, though. So that's just another thing that maybe gets lost in all of this. To consider is, just how many resources get clogged up trying to bring someone to justice, a stolen vehicle suspect like this.
Yeah, again, we talk about how aggravating it. Oh, wow. And this driver just seems to be getting more aggressive as well. Just when you think possibly they'd be slowing down, no, they still has his foot on the gas. And it's, interesting. There's a bit of traffic out here on the 710 at midnight.
Well, yep. So this is that last bit of the 710. It's going to end, it's going to end at Valley Boulevard, but effectively at the 10. And I'm really curious what the suspect's going to do, because both of the ramps to the 10, looks like they might be getting off the freeway right now. I was just going to say that, or no, okay, they're going to the 60, going towards the 60 freeway.
Well, that's the
Because
first.
those ramps to the 10 are pretty sharp, and we've seen suspects wipe out on those ramps before. But instead, taking the more gentle ramps onto the 60 freeway, and looks like we're going to be making our way onto the eastbound 60. So I believe we've hit our our 5th or 6th freeway now at this point.
I think that
as
would be
we
6,
are
Desmond.
now, yep, making our way into the San Gabriel Valley.
Okay, well, again, boy, what a swath of road that this person has traveled in just the last hour that we've been on the air. And for those who may not have joined us at the very beginning, this is a stolen vehicle pursuit. And as far as we know, that's what this person is wanted for, besides all the other charges, of course, that he's been racked up, evading police, and failure to yield, so many things, right, Desmond? Just piling on top of this being a stolen car. We haven't seen they haven't had the opportunity really to do any kind of techniques or to pull anything out of their arsenal to try to bring this to a halt, because this driver has been driving over 100 miles per hour most of the night, which is another question. Des said this is a Kia sedan, so you wonder, you know, this tank should be coming up on dry, you would think, with the mileage that he's put on this car.
This kind of depends on, you know, how much $5 or $6, even $7 a gallon gas this suspect has in this allegedly stolen vehicle right now. But CHP's options very limited at this point. This is just I can't imagine that they're going to put an officer out there with a spike strip when someone's going 110 miles. Well, okay, I say that, and our amazing assignment desk is saying that there is some talk about spike strips. Just not sure how that's going to go. You really need the suspect to be either on one of the, either the far left or the far right lane to have a really good chance at that, unless they're going to shut a freeway down and lay spikes, across all lanes. But the way this person has been going and making transitions, and because they're going so fast, they would have to be set up so far ahead to, pull off any kind of operation like that. It's very hard for me to imagine. And, it's a very kind of split-second thing. If they're going this fast, look at this now, up to 130 miles an hour, I'm not sure that any officer's reflexes are that quick that they can, deploy a spike strip that quickly. So we're just going to, like I said, but the faster they go, the faster they guzzle that gas. And, this is not a little Prius or a Geo Metro or any of those little gas sippers. This looks to be a full-size sedan. Not sure the horsepower on this. I don't believe this isn't a particularly sporty car. I'm sure one of my car buddies is going to text me some of the specifics about that. But, probably getting under 20 miles a gallon. How many gallons? It's probably, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe a 15-gallon tank, something like that. So, that could still go on for a very long time if this person had a full tank. But chances are they didn't just come from the gas station. So, of course, it's just conjecture at this point. But, Pat, the way this is going, I guess we got time for a little conjecture.
Well, why not, Desmond? Because we don't even know. Maybe this was stolen from a gas station. We don't know exactly where this person, this alleged stolen vehicle in the first place. So that's what we can do is conjecture. And you've been doing this long enough. We both have, where we can make some observations. And, sometimes they're spot on. I would say most of the time they're spot on. And at this point, this driver is just continuing to go. He's just found new highways or roadways to get on, to try to get away from law enforcement. And law enforcement has still stayed with this driver for over an hour now. No matter how much they pulled back some, but then they've gotten back on the case and are still following this driver who has no apparent, we think he, at one point we thought he could have been talking to someone on the phone, as we have seen at times where they look for a place to ditch a vehicle, try to do, foot bail, but not so. This has been going on for nearly an hour, close to an hour now. and really don't see an end in sight here. I know, Desmond, you were talking about possibly chatter about a spike strip, but don't know how in the world they would do that on this wide freeway. That's for sure. And the fact it's dangerous, even for officers, right? Even if they had fast reflexes, but you'd really have to have fast reflexes for something like this to try to even get something in place. And you would think if they went ahead of it and tried to do it, that this driver would see them and try to go around it in the first place.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, we have seen operations where CHP will kind of very coyly stop lanes, or even maybe just a couple of the right lanes. And I'm thinking of one time where I saw them almost seem to like kind of use a semi for cover. And then when the driver got near, they threw out the spike strip, and it was successful. But that was also in the daytime in rush hour traffic. This is nighttime, full speed traffic. So I'm very curious how they are going to pursue any kind of spike strip endeavor to try to bring this one to an end. I mean, I would love to see them succeed in that, but I just think of the officer putting themselves in danger. But we are now past the 605. We're going to be at the 57 here pretty quickly. So then we're going to be getting into Orange County. So now you're talking about a whole other agency, a whole other jurisdiction getting involved in this. But we are really running the gambit tonight.
Well, that would be interesting. Talk about Orange County. They certainly can be more aggressive when they want to be in terms of ending these pursuits. I noticed that they have their lights off again. We've seen this throughout this entire ordeal, where this driver has will turn his lights off and then turn them back on. We have no reason why.
Yeah, and you wonder what the driver gains from that. I mean, they know, look, CHP's right behind them. The helicopter is above them.
And
they
so
can
is
see them.
Desmond.
It's not that dark out here. Yeah, and so are we, and it's not so dark out here that they have any chance to evade officers in that way. So what is the point? You're only making it more dangerous for yourself, for everyone else. I mean, I'd like to assume this person doesn't want this to end in a spectacular crash. But here we go. The light's off, 120 miles an hour. And we're going to come through the 60-57 interchange, which will be a little complicated in that the freeways basically come together for about a half mile and share one roadway between the East 60 and the northbound 57. But CHP pretty committed on this one, and now it's almost like they've been involved for so long that now, despite what I said earlier, it's kind of hard for me to imagine them backing off this, because they've
put so much time,
so heavily to this.
Yeah, that's true. They've been invested, that's for sure. And if it's just pure aggravation alone that they want to continue to put this guy in handcuffs, if you ask me.
Pat, my assignment desk was just telling me that a CHP fixed wing may actually be coming in to get involved in this as well.
Fixed
and they
wing.
have, well, I believe LAPD does as well. Yeah, so they have it's called a stationary. It's usually a crew of 3. I actually met them one time at Burbank Airport when we were on a refueling stop. Nice gents, and we were just talking about that. I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine a fixed wing on this, because fixed wing aircraft have totally different airspace restrictions when it comes to flying. In different airspaces, they have to fly at different altitudes, but it's usually a crew of 3. They fly up considerably higher, and apparently they're coming all the way up here from San Diego, which is crazy. They have a camera on one of the wings, and they have infrared on that. I believe LAPD does as well, a system that they call FLUR. But they're coming to get involved in this. So again, even more resources. But it was probably pretty quiet in San Diego for the overnight crew of the CHP fixed wing. So they decide, well, we're going to come and get involved in this one.
So what is it, just to keep an eye on the driver? I mean, is that the whole purpose?
Yeah, I'm guessing, that It is CHP, so they would like to have their aircraft overhead. It may be easier communication-wise as well for the CHP ground units maybe to communicate with their own aircraft as opposed to LAPD's aircraft. I know there was actually a notorious chase a couple of years ago where there was major communication issues between, I believe it was LA County Sheriff's ship and LAPD, and they couldn't communicate, and they ended up losing the pursuit. It was a huge fiasco because of communication issues. So I wonder if that was the reason for that. And now you see a new unit who's taken over the lead on this one. And now as we make our way into Orange County, actually we'll be getting into San Bernardino County, I believe, as we continue on the eastbound 60. But you see that new unit getting in. They'll rotate units in and out. Because this is stressful on these officers. When they're going 130 miles an hour trying to keep up with, you don't want an officer obviously low on energy out here trying to cover a high-speed pursuit like this. So they'll often rotate. Now the driver forced to slow down, and it looks like we're going to be making our way southbound on the 57 freeway right now. So we had the option of going into San Bernardino County or Orange County. We're now getting into Orange County. Probably going to see a lot of different personnel switching in and out. I mean, we've already got that white unit there, who I believe is an Orange County unit, and then we may be getting new aircraft getting involved in this as well.
Well, you talk about energy, not only that, but like a new pair of eyes or fresh pair of eyes in terms of who's following in these pursuits, and it could get interesting. That Orange County vehicle got pretty close to this driver. Wow, now he's
like
doing some maneuvers. Yeah, well, there's some
getting off the freeway now at Pathfinder.
Okay.
So we're in Diamond Bar. So actually, we're technically still in LA County because they got off the freeway right here, blasted through that red light. Well, no, just why? Why even do that? Why get off the freeway, blast through a red light, only to get back on the freeway? Well, maybe it was to dodge that road work right there. There was some road work, so getting through that construction zone right there. I mean, at the very least, not flying 130 miles an hour near those Caltrans workers out there, those workers that put themselves in such a precarious situation to maintain our extensive freeway system in Southern California.
In fact, I might miss some of that tonight, Desmond, since we're on the air here.
Yeah, that's right. There has been some road work on the 101, I know, and overnight hours. I much to the chagrin of drivers, you get stuck in traffic in the morning, you get stuck in traffic at night, and then you got to go drive at night. You're like, nah, this is the time to drive, right? No, that's when Caltrans gets out and they shut down the freeways, and then sometimes you get stuck in detours, and that can be a whole other thing. So you really just cannot win in Southern California, that's for sure. But on the 57 freeway here, as we get ready to leave the San Gabriel Valley, and the next stop, Brea Canyon, we will be in Orange County. So, Pat, earlier we were talking about gas, and like clockwork, I got to give a shout out to my personal friend Cody, who messaged me that the engine on this Kia probably is between 1 and 2 liters, and max fuel capacity is a little over 18 gallons. So, 1 or 2 liter engine, that's pretty small. That's definitely on the fuel efficient side, but not when you're driving it like this. This vehicle, I'm sure, is revving really high and struggling most likely to keep up with these speeds. And again, no idea if this car does have a full tank of gas. Maybe it was stolen from a gas station. We certainly know that pursuits have started that way, or they've been initiated when people run into a
store,
the convenience store really quickly to grab something. They leave the car running, and just like that, next thing you know, you're calling LAPD about your stolen vehicle, and your car is on CBS and KCAL for more than an hour, coming up on an hour and a half, and as we make our way southbound on the 57.
Well, the good thing, we haven't seen any accidents, thank goodness. We've seen some close calls, but for the most part, that's a good thing to acknowledge, because we certainly don't like to see any innocent people get hurt in something like this, or law enforcement, or not really even the driver, because at this point they're just aimlessly out there on the road trying to get away from law enforcement, which, you know, we know that's probably not going to happen. And as you mentioned, and yeah, give another shout out to your friend Cody, maybe that's why officers are still engaged with this, because they know that possibly this guy is going to run out of gas sometime soon too.
Yeah, and we know that they'll take it, you know, all the way to the border there in San Ysidro if they have to. I mean, not that we'll be able to cover it that far. As much as I would love to take a refueling break and get some world-famous tacos in San Diego, will not be able to take it that far if that's what happens. But southbound on the 57, we'll be making our way towards the 91. And, you know, Orange County, I think, pretty solidly in this. Now, my pilot, Chris, was just hearing some chatter with the helicopter overhead. They might be having some issues with their spotlight. The technical term is a night sun. But
right.
we just, you know, it's basically a spotlight, and I don't know if it burnt itself out or if it's malfunctioning or what, but they're having an issue with that, and now there's going to be other aircraft coming in, and well, we know CHP.
The fixed wing, right?
Yeah, the fixed wing does not have a night sun. They do have the infrared, at least, to be able to track that. But that's really mostly useful if the suspect gets out and runs in a dark area. So they will at least have that. And my scientists just tell me they were, you know what, I was talking earlier about communication issues, and it sounds like they were having that as well. So you see how taxing this can be for law enforcement as well, the longer that this goes on. And, you know, I can tell you, helicopter maintenance, you know, not a light thing. There's a lot of things that can go wrong on a helicopter, and you know, LAPD has their helicopters up pretty much all the time as it is, and so, you know, then you get a ship out on a long pursuit like this, and it's, you know, not unheard of that something can go haywire, and that sounds like that may be happening now from the air.
All right, well, I'm glad you pointed that out, Desmond, and that's certainly, you know, when we think about these things, we talk about the man hours involved, energy, fresh eyes, and we have to also talk about the equipment. I mean, we know that you have issues sometimes with the chopper. You certainly have to refuel, and any little technical issue can happen that could, you know, set you a little bit behind, or in terms of coverage. And in this particular case, in terms of the officers keeping up with that night sun on this vehicle, that certainly can happen. That's technology for you, and that's just the way it goes. So now they're making, where are they now, Desmond? Did they exit?
Well, we are down at the 91 freeway, and it looks like we are making the westbound 91. Well, I tell you, sounds like, you know, Orange County sheriffs heard there was a pursuit, and they wanted to fire up their chopper, so they're going to be coming to get involved, and hopefully they have a working spotlight, night sun, whatever you want to call it. So, and you know, speak of that, we know how it could be with Orange County. You were mentioning earlier, Pat. I mean, absolutely. We'll see what they do. I mean, you know, hopefully there will be an opportunity where the suspect will do one of these things where they get off the freeway, and, you know, if the unit is PIT certified and they have permission from their supervisor, then maybe there will be a split-second moment where they can get in there, get right up on the bumper, spin that car around, and bring this to a conclusion. Short of that, it's probably going to be the suspect running out of gas, or the suspect just getting tired of this. I mean, you know, again, you know, we talked about, you know, switching out the fresh officers and everything. Obviously, this is where the suspect, you know, is at a major disadvantage. I mean, they've been driving this fast for this long, dodging vehicles, had that close call back in the Westchester area. Yeah, and, you know, just driving around Southern California for 2 hours at normal speed is taxing enough as it is. You know, and now you couple these kind of, you know, white-knuckle speeds with police behind you, and, you know, you have to wonder how much longer this suspect, you know, has it in them to continue this.
That's a good point, Desmond. And not only that, but even your vision, you know, driving at night like that and long distances. And this person has not had a break. They've been going for over an hour now. And they're still going.
Yeah, well over an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're closing down in on an hour and a half. I believe, at this point. So, yeah, it's nighttime. Don't know if this person's a night owl or what, but it's getting to be that time of night as well. But, I mean, we've been consistently over 100 miles an hour for almost the entirety of the pursuit. So, on a per capita basis of miles per hour and miles covered, this is probably near the top as far as pursuits we've covered, because, we've seen a lot of pursuits where there'll be really, really high speeds, but they might not last that long if the tires fall off or they end up getting in a crash or something. Then Lord knows we've seen the marathon pursuits at very slow speeds, but now we've got a long pursuit and very high speeds. I haven't seen that for a very long time. And we'll widen out and show you CHP here. They had backed off for a minute when they were in that construction zone on the 57 just for a bit, but now that we are back into a wide open freeway, they are right back behind, giving a little bit of distance so far, but not a ton. They've definitely been a lot more engaged, I would say, than they were, for quite a bit of the time there in LA County.
And actually, Desmond, even when this driver got on surface streets for a minute, I didn't see them drive less than 50 miles per hour. They were still driving 70, 80, shooting through those intersections in the wrong lane.
Yeah, we definitely had some high speeds. Yeah, I mean, it's
so
really gotten nerve-wracking when it's been on the surface streets. And here we go. Let's see where I think we're going to be taking the northbound 5 right here. Yep, northbound 5. So we did a little tour through Orange County and now coming back into LA County. And, so now we're going to get LA County CHP back involved once we get past Artesia Boulevard. That's the dividing line to get back into LA County. And, of course, all the road work on the 5 that had been going on for what felt like forever since I had graduated college. That is all wrapped up, so I don't believe we're going to see any big road work closures here on the northbound side of the 5. But, boy, 100 miles an hour the entire time on this one. It's definitely been a crazy one.
Yep, and again, no end in sight. Was that round and round? She goes where it's going to end. Nobody knows, because this person is just, is just choosing different freeways randomly to jump on and lead police on this, high-speed pursuit that we've seen for almost, an hour and a half now at these high speeds, and really, thank goodness, haven't seen any accidents. We've seen some close calls. He's gotten pretty close to vehicles, but from what we've seen, we haven't seen any collision of any kind, thank goodness, and we certainly hope that remains the case. And that's LA County behind him now. What about Orange County? Are they still involved, Des? Can you tell?
Well, we'll see what happens if there's some kind of a switch off here, but the lights just got switched off, and there's this. Apparently, this driver might be getting ready to encounter a stalled big rig right now, so they really need to be careful. Reported up ahead that my assignment desk was just making me privy to, but. So we actually have an LA County Sheriff's Deputy's helicopter that's coming in now that we're getting out of Orange County Sheriff's jurisdiction. The same helicopter with that spotlight problem is still here. They're probably going to be relieved here by LA County Sheriff's deputies soon. They're not too far away, but let's see. We might be coming up on that stalled big rig here pretty soon. Here comes another fresh unit who, we're unclear if that's from Orange County or LA County. Did have a stalled big rig reported right up in this area. I don't see it at this point, but here you go. Looks like they got the spotlight working again, though. Okay, that's I'm being told that's actually
from the yes.
That was from LA County Sheriff's helicopter.
All right, well, there's going northbound on the 5 freeway, coming up on Rosecrans Avenue, and we were expecting a stalled big rig to possibly slow this down. Or hoping that would be the case. He's passed a couple of them.
Yeah, maybe that might have been sometimes on CHP's what they call the CAD. their kind of incident report page. Sometimes there's incidents on there that may have just cleared but are still kind of being logged as active. So yeah, I didn't see a stalled big rig there, so it may have already cleared out of the way, which is good to not see this potentially end in a crash, especially with this person with no headlights on right now. Just absolutely ridiculous driving. But you do see the sheriff's deputies are now the ones with that spotlight overhead. So yet another helicopter. That's now the third helicopter that's been on this. Make that the fourth. Well, third, but then we were going to have one from Orange County that would have been the fourth, and then CHP fixed wing somewhere up there. Sheriff's Air 21 is who this is right now, who is overhead. Should be a crew of two, the pilot and a tactical flight officer who mans that spotlight so well, and will be calling out to the units on the ground. There you see another CHP unit getting ready to be engaged in this, but 120 miles an hour, you're just passing by all of these units right now. And where are you going? Is this just the final drive? I know I'm going to jail, so I'm just going to milk this as much as I can. I've always wanted, is that what this person's thinking? Like, just
hey, Desmond.
Because otherwise, I just don't seem to know what the plan is.
Well, I like that plan that you just said. I like the one that you had just mentioned, because certainly, how else is this going to end? They're following you. They backed off. They've come back on. So they're obviously committed to this, and they want to put handcuffs on you. And I would say that that's going to happen, Desmond. And let's just hope that that is what happens. And he doesn't lose control. I've been kind of surprised myself. We've been talking about how law enforcement has had different units. They've been able to refresh and have different, sets of eyes, different officers, new energy, so to speak. But this person has been driving. It's the same one. No switch off there. It's the same person behind the wheel. And they have been pretty much in command of this vehicle, driving at these high rates of speed. And I guess, folks, you could probably tell that Desmond and I are just waiting for this guy to run out of gas. And I'm sure that's what the officers are thinking themselves. That's, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm thinking that could be possibly one reason why they've stayed with this. Because we haven't heard any information that this started as some kind of violent crime in terms of, how this vehicle was stolen. So you would think they want to get this, bring this to an end, not only just because of sheer aggravation, but again, probably thinking, well, this dude's got to run out of gas at some point. Or other means. And we haven't seen him try to, exit and make some kind of foot bail or end up in a familiar place, as we see so many different times.
And, Pat, I wonder, is it really worth all of this for a stolen vehicle? I mean, yes, you're gonna go to jail, but it just seems to me it's going to be so much worse when the probability of getting away is so low, and and that's just when you don't even factor in the safety issue. You're really going to roll the dice like this for this long, and hope that it doesn't come up snake eyes to get away from this. I mean, we have certainly seen some get away, no doubt about it. This just doesn't seem to me like one of those pursuits where they are going to get away, because authorities are just so keen on this, and they have so many different resources, several different helicopters overhead. They even have, the CHP airplane overhead on this one. You have multiple infrared systems trained on this car if they get out and run. You've got the units on the ground that if they're not backing off at 130 miles an hour, they're not backing off. If they would have already done that a long time ago, the watch commander would have told them to terminate that if they were ever going to. So you can see how committed the police are to this, and there really doesn't seem to be any plan by this person to do anything. They don't seem to have any kind of action movie plan to get out of this. So what is the end game?
Well, he sure is going in and out of traffic. He sure is making those lane changes. Certainly in just that last...
zigging and zagging.
Right? I mean, really.
Definitely.
And seems to have really stepped that up in just, in the last minute or so that you were talking Desmond. And I guess that's because of the traffic that's on the freeway right now, which is a little, is that surprising to you? I mean, well, this is the 5 North, but we've seen quite a bit of traffic at this time.
There has been a decent amount of traffic on some of these freeways. We saw a lot of big rigs on the 710. A lot of them work at off hours. We had that construction on the 57 that constricted lanes. There was a decent amount of cars on the 91, and we're coming up to the East LA interchange, really kind of the epicenter of traffic in Los Angeles. So I won't be surprised if we see some more traffic up ahead. And then where will the suspect go from there? We will either continue on to the North 5, where that notorious section of the 5 where it goes down to just 2 lanes, or they could go to the westbound 10 Santa Monica freeway, or continue on to the northbound 101 and head to the heart of downtown LA. We are kind of trending back to where we first heard about this, LAPD's Newton Division. We're only a couple of miles away from that, so I don't know. Well, maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe the driver is headed back to that area, if that is an area that is familiar to them. And let's just hope that they're going to ditch the vehicle at this point and stop driving like a maniac with their lights off and endangering all of these folks and bring this madness to an end.
Well, for you to say, oh, now what are they doing? Okay.
Looks like northbound 5, I think. Yeah, northbound. Wait a minute. No, this is going to be the 10 Santa Monica. So this was the one I was hoping that they weren't going to take, because there's the huge kind of elevated section of the roadway here we're going to have to navigate to bring you a clean shot of this. It doesn't last too long, though. Here we go, coming out of it actually now. So we'll be headed through downtown LA and over the LA River we go, and we'll headed for downtown Los Angeles. Getting awfully close to LAPD Newton actually now.
Well, if they get to downtown Los Angeles, that's another thing, Desmond, as we know, with those tall buildings, the parking garages. Sometimes that can be like a mouse trap. Oh.
Yep.
They're off the freeway.
Just got off the freeway here all of a sudden. And kind of one of those maneuvers where they did it at the last second, but they were not able to fool the airship here as we're now on Olympic Boulevard. Really quick maneuver there.
Look at that.
But look at all of the units here that are positioned. And, again, just the excellent communication of law enforcement, even getting off the freeway, even pulling that maneuver really close to that big rig right there. Boy, that big rig, man. And so CHP just had to stop for that, and they just canceled their ground units because of that, because that was so close. And I wonder if that's what this suspect was hoping for. Now, we still have helicopters overhead, and we're going to see if LAPD wants to get back involved in this, see how the watch commander feels about this. Again, it was a stolen vehicle pursuit, but CHP, from what we just heard, they might be done with this after that maneuver right there, after getting too close. Boy, like something nerve-wracking, like out of a Bruce Willis movie or something like that. But that was real life, and that was scary.
Yeah, and still driving fast on surface streets.
With their lights off. Underneath us again, and he's going to go underneath us yet again. No, he's right underneath us. That's okay. I gotta help my pilot. No, it's fine. My pilot Chris here doing
getting back
the best
on the
he can
freeway
for this one, and us with our camera work. Okay, so now we're getting back on the roadway again, and I think we're actually back on that same stretch of roadway, deja vu right there, back onto the westbound 10, coming out of the East LA interchange. Now we're just on the other side. Now we're behind the driver here, so they were just basically just looped right back around.
Lights off.
Very bizarre. Let's see if they're going to try that maneuver again, but
you wonder what that was about. I'm going to be honest, Des, I almost thought, close to where this started, not far from Newton Division, that maybe they were going to an area that was familiar to them, and they would try that old foot bail, ditch the car thing. But no, they just turned around and after ditching CHP, so to speak, got back on the freeway.
Yep. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't know if the suspect meant to do that, or if that just happened coincidentally like that. But we've seen the most dangerous stuff by far when they get off of the freeway, and if this person thinks that if I could just push it, if I can push it hard enough, maybe I can get the authorities off my tail, get some space, and get to somewhere where they can ditch the car. Well, they do have a little bit of space at the moment, but CHP says they are going to be re-engaging now that they are back on the freeway. So it's kind of like, I guess CHP is just indicating when it's off the roadway, we're just going to watch it from the air. When it's back on the freeways, we will, get back on top of it. So now we're taking the exit to the 110. Going to be kind of a turn here. Or are we going southbound? If we're going southbound, we will have basically done the hat trick and done a complete loop around. Yep, a complete loop around from where this has all started. Taking the southbound 110, unless they're taking an exit here. Now this is going to be the southbound 110 as we loop around. And started, yep, and we are in LAPD Newton Division, so we really are right back where this all started, Pat.
And here we go, folks. This has been well over an hour and a half now. A Kia sedan. This started in the Newton Division, and I've been talking to Desmond for as long as we've been on the air here, as I mentioned, over an hour and a half. And this has been, what, 7 freeways now, Desmond? Just trying to get our viewers just a taste of how long and how far this vehicle has traveled and is still going. And that's what surprises us the most, I think. This is a stolen vehicle, but driving for over an hour and a half at speeds over 100 miles an hour most of the time.
Yeah, I've been at triple digits the whole time. And, why not? Of course, the suspect now going into the absolute worst airspace for us, this section of LAX airspace, which arguably is even worse than, well, if he stays on the freeway, we can stick with this. We won't be allowed to stop over the freeway is my understanding of the rules for when LAPD is in an active pursuit and they have their helicopter overhead. But we have gotten clearance in. So let's just hope that the suspect stays on the freeway so we can continue to bring you this. But, yeah, we're well into Wednesday morning now. Of course, we've got some elevated carpool lanes we're going to have to get around. But so it's just going to be probably a couple of miles of this on-again, off-again shot with these carpool lanes as we make our way back around. But we have covered so much ground on this marathon high-speed pursuit. Now southbound 110 through the heart of South LA.
And officers have not given up. They've been on this from the start, pulled back for a second, but still had eyes overhead. And when they didn't have vehicles on the ground following close by, they re-engaged this vehicle. So obviously, as Des has been talking about, they want to see this come to an end. And they have been committed to this vehicle. Sure is dark out there, Des.
Yeah, it is awfully dark. Pretty very few cars out here in the evening, and guess just not a lot of lights out on this section of the roadway to light it up. And
with no
this
lights on,
still with their lights off. Yeah, and no lights at this point. Of course, I say that now we pick up a couple of more cars, but over to the right-hand side. Coming up to the Manchester exit already, and it's crazy because, Pat, it's like we've been going so fast now for so long that it almost doesn't even look like the suspect is going that fast, but they are.
Yeah.
They have been going about 100 miles an hour this entire time, and you saw just how quickly in our last exchange we got from the 110-10 all the way down to Manchester. Near the exit that you would take to get towards SoFi Stadium, and we'll be back down towards the 105 freeway in no time.
Yeah, I thought he was going to take that Manchester exit for a minute, but then he didn't. He's gone over to the far left lane here, and that's where he is.
Yep, and you see the spotlight there from LAPD, who, of course. Sheriff's 21 on this one. LAPD is long since left, the one that had the malfunctioning spotlight. But you see there with sheriffs, even though we're in LAX's airspace, they're able to transition through this side. They're able to transition instantly and get through and be able to continue to provide that air support on this one. But just since we have kind of a wide shot, we can see, are there any ground units? And there are not at the moment. They are just watching this from the air right now. We had heard CHP say that they were going to re-engage now that they're back on the freeway, but it's anyone's guess what is going to happen next and getting off the freeway at Imperial Highway.
You know what? Did you see that? To me, it almost was like a jerking movement, Des, that they weren't sure they were going to make, they were going to exit, but they just decided at the last minute.
Yes, this suspect has been doing that at a lot of different junctures where do I get off? Do I not get off? Do I get off? Do I not get off? And then kind of make a split-second decision right at the last moment. So going through another red light, that tree was in the way, but that was a very, very close call right there as we are on, well, where is this going to lead us here? We are coming over the 110 freeway and getting up into a neighborhood here as we are on Olive, paralleling the 110. And unfortunately, even though we have a really good shot right now, we are forced to get behind this because, again, we are still in LAX's airspace. If this maniac would have just gone one more exit, we would have been able to provide this much better for you. But let's see. No, getting back on the freeway. The aimlessness continues here.
Oh,
back
there it is.
Down northbound 110.
Yeah, you have no idea what this guy is thinking. Like, why does he?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we got it for you. Okay.
Oh,
We're
there he
back.
is. Right there. Okay, and still, we don't see any law enforcement behind him right now.
Nope, not
See the
at the
spotlight,
moment.
but no.
Yeah. Well, there's a unit up ahead. Let's see what they're going to do. They might be getting ready to fall in line with this pursuit. If that's CHP or if that is LAPD. Just have to wonder how many different units have been involved in this pursuit now, because we've covered so much ground in such a short, actually not a short amount of time, in a pretty long amount of time. That is CHP right there. Obviously this person knows they're being lit up by the spotlight. They do have their lights back on for the moment, at least. And there's CHP right there, probably giving them the little side eye there. And I guess they will be getting
There they go.
re-engaged. There's another one. Yeah, there's another one right there.
That's two.
They're ready. And here we go. Lights and sirens back on. Northbound 110. Let's head back towards downtown LA.
I'm trying to see, well, yeah, he's trying to pick up some speed. Not to the hundreds yet that we've seen. And like you said, though, Desmond, you can't really tell right now. I'm just looking at the numbers on the map tracker that we have up there, how fast he's going. Lights off.
Yeah, pretty close. Yep, lights back off again. No rhyme or reason. Extremely dangerous when you're on a dark freeway like the 110 seems to be. It's just crazy that it hasn't ended badly yet at this point, when you've got this person flying along like this with no lights on and just, not very visible to other people. And here comes CHP. So what's our next move going to be once we make our way back towards the 110-10 junction? And will we continue on the north 110, maybe headed towards South Pasadena, or will they take the juncture for the 10 towards Santa Monica, or east towards the Eastdale interchange? Okay,
so Desmond has given 3 opportunities here, and we'll see if this driver is going to take one of them or stay on the 110 for as long as he can before making an exit, or even coming up, getting on a surface street. But there he is.
There we go. Yep, there we go. Back under those elevated carpool lanes.
Yeah, you're doing
right
a great
here.
job. You and Chris, keep it up with this driver. That's for sure. Because we've seen some.
thank you.
Oh, now he's picked up again, Des.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, let's see here. The map tracker might be getting a little tired because it is so late at night. There we go. I think we are up to about 120 miles an hour there right now. But Yeah, you know, marathon pursuit, got to give a lot of credit to my pilot, very, very seasoned pilot, Chris here, able to keep up on this one. And, we just went by my Look at This for this evening, Pat, if everyone watched tonight. We did Bank of California Stadium.
Yes.
We're actually
Down at
paralleling
Exposition
last night's Look at
Park.
This as well. Yeah, Coliseum. It's did the Coliseum last night. It's Stadium Week on Look at This for may as well just do a little promo here
Why
while
not?
we're trying to get caught back up. But,
I know.
yeah, we're going to be doing some of the our awesome stadiums in the greater LA area all week. And tonight, we just passed by Bank of California Stadium, first open-air stadium built since Dodger Stadium was built in the 1960s. How about that?
And
As we
boy,
make our way
nobody's
to
there right
the
now.
10 Santa Monica 10.
And
Yep.
nobody's there. Bank.
No.
Right. They have a number of different sporting events, soccer, but that's Desmond, out of control. Did you see that?
Yep.
That's the first time.
Maybe might have taken that turn just a little bit too quickly there. Might have taken that turn as we are back on the 10 Santa Monica, headed back east. And boy, if we thought that they were headed back to the Newton area, we were definitely mistaken in that. It's just we're
Like a
going to
free-for-all.
we're going to run as long as we can, and it seems to me that this suspect wants to test, how much gas you can get out of a Kia sedan, what kind of mileage you can average when you're going 115 miles an hour. I mean, they've got to be seeing the fuel, ticking down
Yeah.
at these kind of speeds, especially. I mean, it is happening very quickly, but obviously this suspect had, way more than a quarter tank of gas, because this has just gone on for so long. They must have had at least a half a tank, if not more.
Yeah, and as you said, driving at these kind of speeds, this is this is certainly a great commercial for a Kia, that's for sure. If anyone wants to get some kind of fuel-efficient car, I mean, this has just been incredible, considering how long this person has been driving and the speeds. But now that was dicey.
There was a close one.
Yeah, that was dicey.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how much.
That's.
Oh, go ahead, Desmond.
Go ahead. Yeah. No. I mean, and the brakes obviously work pretty well, right? I mean, slammed on the brakes, saw a little bit of a rubber burning there on the pavement. Had to slam on the brakes so quick, and that's what happens. I'm surprised it hadn't happened sooner when you're driving 120 miles an hour with no lights on, and someone gets in your lane like that because they can't see you. But yeah, we've certainly seen some of these pursuits that may, end up working kind of ignominious advertisements, so to speak, with where we've seen trucks that drive for miles and miles on rims after their tires have been spiked, and they just keep on trucking. We've seen, gas-sipping vehicles that go on forever and ever. We've had pursuits that have lasted for 6 hours because the vehicles were so fuel efficient, and now this might be another. We had one pursuit with a little Mini that had like 6 people stuffed inside. So that was
the clown
like
car.
one, like, hey, it may be small, but look at how the clown car pursuit. So you never know what you're going to see, and this one is just a marathon of just continuing to go as over 100 miles an hour the entire time, and it looks like. So we were on that section of the 5 where it met up. We were on that where the 10 and the 5 meet together, where they share a couple of miles of roadway, and now we are on the eastbound 10, the 10 San Bernardino Freeway. So for those of you keeping track at home, you can chalk up yet another freeway that has been covered. We've now done the 10 Santa Monica and San Bernardino, but we are getting off the freeway. Let's see if it's going to be one of those on-again, off-again things, or if we're actually going to go somewhere. Okay, so north on Soto Street, so not too far away from County General Hospital and USC, and in the Boyle Heights area.
Blowing a red light.
Wrong side of the road for absolutely no reason, blowing through that red light.
Still on the wrong
And,
side of the road.
Is this driver getting tired? This has been going on so long. You have to imagine that this driver is getting tired, driving like this so fast for so long, and you hate to have a driver driving this fast on little residential surface streets. First time we've seen them now in these tiny little streets.
Wow, did you see that
someone
car?
might be going this fast if they're this tired. Yeah, really, really close. And are we going somewhere that they know now that we are in residential streets? Let's hope that they run into a dead end and the authorities can and corner them in or something. Although, as I widen out, I don't see
anybody.
any units directly behind this person. Yeah, so I think we're in that situation again because this got off the freeway. CHP, their commander probably told him back off. So there is no one behind this person at the moment.
And look at the turns that they're making, Desmond. You know, we think
Yep.
possibly they might know where they're going or have an idea as to where they want to go, if they know this neighborhood, if they know the area.
Thank
But
you.
so far, he's still just driving, hasn't stopped.
Now,
picking
and just
up
gone
speed
through,
again.
I mean, just plowing through these stop signs, not even slowing down to look left and right. And I mean, I just really again
Wow.
right there, super close, right through another red light. Just ridiculous when there's no one even following this person right now. And again, if you've got a tired driver who's willing to take these kind of risks at these kind of speeds, now you know that the danger level has really gotten turned up. And I don't know how this hasn't already ended in a crash, but I'm just really afraid that this is going to end with an innocent person getting T-boned the way that this person is going along like this.
Yeah, we certainly hope that doesn't happen. But then again, as you said, driver's got to be tired. He hasn't stopped. He's been driving for over almost going on 2 hours now. And that's dangerous in itself. And now he's in a residential area in the Boyle Heights area where we've seen him. This is the first time. Isn't this the longest that we've seen this driver in a residential area? Turning
Yes,
down different
I would
streets.
say so.
Yeah, so, you know, we always, just back of mind from the chases that we have done as pursuits in the past, you think, well, all right, this might be it. But I don't know, Desmond, because he's not stopping. He just continues to blow through these lights and, you know, still has a high rate of speed in an area like this.
Yeah, and even though we're at this late hour, I mean, it seems it's just like a matter of time before they're going to run into some other vehicles here at this point as we make our way along 4th Street, and we'll be making our way into the East Los Angeles area, into LA County Sheriff's jurisdiction. They already have their helicopter overhead, so we'll see if any of their ground units want to pick this up. Sheriff's deputies in recent years have definitely, I think that they would have no problem with me saying that they have been loath to chase or reluctant to chase. Only in the most extraneous circumstances will do they often get into the pretty wild high-speed pursuits if it's a very, very serious crime. Usually if it's a stolen vehicle, they will usually pass on those. But they do have their helicopter overhead, so we'll see if they decide to get involved in this, or if LAPD is going to pick this back up. Sheriffs are actually talking to LAPD at the moment about this one. And you know what, Pat? I think might be this. We're getting so late at night here. We actually were headed back westbound towards downtown LA. So scrap everything I said about sheriff's deputies because we are talking about LAPD.
Okay.
And the sheriffs are talking to LAPD as we make our way through the Arts District and Japantown, and we're now on 3rd Street. And now they're saying that I think they're saying that they are not going to take this over. So now I'm just wondering
Who's?
yeah, it sounds like the helicopter might just stick with it here is what I'm hearing now.
Well,
helicopter sticking with it. No ground units right now, so well, I don't know. How is this one going to end?
There we go. And there we got our tall buildings there, Desmond, which makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, we do.
You got them. I see them.
And I think we're going to go through a tunnel here right now as well. And we have seen
Yes.
that pursuits have ended in these kinds of tunnels before.
That's
so we've got to
correct.
keep a wide shot and watch both sides of this tunnel because suspects will do a U-turn if they're
Or
able
ditch
to.
the car.
Yep, and you see LAPD's spotlight here as well. There we go. We got it. Okay. Reacquired. So out of that tunnel. And that's what makes me wonder, I mean, is this person even seriously looking for an escape plan? Because, you know,
Had
they've
an
got to see there's
opportunity.
no one behind them. Yeah, they've got to see there's no one behind them on the ground.
Right.
They were inside of a tunnel. They've been in multiple tunnels at this point where we're in between all kinds of tall buildings. There's all kinds of parking structures around here, and yet this suspect continues to plod along, at these speeds. I mean, actually, can't even say plod. I think plod implies slowly. We are, still really kind of blasting along here, 60 miles an hour on these surface streets.
And again, now, it makes you wonder. We've been talking about possibly looking for a place to ditch the vehicle, but he didn't do that. A place where he knows where he's going. Don't know that for sure because he's been everywhere at this point. And haven't seen him in the Westlake district, so this is another area. This is a new area.
Yep, we are covering more and more ground by the second in the Westlake area here along 3rd Street. And, you see we're really getting into the wee hours of the morning, and even in Los Angeles, very sparsely traveled now at this point, which is good for the public at least. There's not going to be a lot of people out here walking around, no commuters out here, just maybe folks coming back from late nights, as we will be doing when this does eventually end, Pat. We would hope that the E-light is on and there's a chime inside this guy's cabin telling him that you're about to run out of gas. That is certainly my hope, but it's anyone's guess. And this is just crazy how long this has gone on and at these speeds. And we're now just following from the air with us and LA County Sheriff's deputies. The agencies on the ground have lost interest for the moment. LAPD started all this. CHP took it over. They were on and off it for a long time. Despite all of the effort that they put into this pursuit, unless this person gets back on the freeway, they no longer have interest in this. And even if it gets back on the freeway, are they going to have any interest in it? So
maybe what?
You want to see someone. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe not at this point, Desmond, because we were talking about how long that they had stayed with this car, like they had really committed that they wanted to get this, to bring this to an end and get this driver behind bars. And now it does make you wonder if they have decided something different. We don't know that for sure, right? But that certainly is a possibility.
Yeah, very, very possible. As we're going down Catalina Street in the Koreatown, very densely populated area. Yeah, fairly close there. So I think that's probably the 6th or 7th time that the suspect has gone right underneath us. But here we go. Catalina Street coming down to 6th Street in Koreatown. Could still see a decent amount of cars out here. Koreatown's so densely populated. Made a right, I believe, onto 6th Street. Should be coming out from underneath these vehicles.
There he
here
is.
we go. Now just kind of zigging and zagging around. But, I mean, there's really just no reason to. I mean, I don't want to say the suspect has won, but look, they're just watching from the air. You've been driving around all this time. There's no one behind you on the ground. There doesn't seem to be anyone within at least a minute or two's distance. So why do you continue to do this and run through red lights when there's every indication that you have a chance to get out of this vehicle?
Well, that's the first time we've seen this.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's backing up.
Stopped and look at kind of panicked. I mean, this driver's just panicked, and now in reverse. Are they going to make a U-turn? Yes, they are. Making a U-turn here onto 6th Street. Didn't like the idea of being at a stoplight there for...
Or being trapped, right?
A couple of minutes.
It's just, it's too bad that they could have just converged on him while he was stopped and driving at a low speed and just pitted him. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I know. And that's, I know. And, you wish that opportunity would have been there. But... they're just watching this one from the air right now as we are.
Okay, and again, now he's now traversing Koreatown, picking up more speed. Still no rhyme or reason. just driving aimlessly. We've gone through a number of areas, seen quite a few,
Yep.
wow, attractions, landscapes. But this
Yeah,
person,
and
you know, he's still
wrong,
on
wrong side of the road there.
yeah. I guess
no
we could
reason,
call this a
really.
joyride. What else would you call it, Desmond? I mean, considering.
Yeah. No, it really is, and it's just a very, very shameful stolen vehicle car ride, joyride is what this is, because I mean, there seemed like a lot of desperation earlier in this pursuit, but there just isn't any, I don't know, serious effort to get out of the car. I don't even see a spotlight now from the authorities on this one. No, this is. Oh, they might actually be on the wrong vehicle right now. We'll see if my pilot Chris can. I mean, this is the Kia. It's got the dark tint on the back of it here, but you know, this has been going on so long. Maybe, I don't know. Sheriffs might apparently have their spotlight on the wrong vehicle here.
Wow, you think maybe they lost him when he went in the tunnel?
No, they had him after that. I'm not sure if they were just at a bad angle when they came across one of those tall buildings and lost it for a second, and then if this vehicle might have, you know, crossed paths with another white vehicle. I mean, obviously there's a lot of white sedans around, but yeah, actually, I believe sheriff's deputies are now clued into to the vehicle now. They might be needing to catch back up, but we're headed back into South LA and south on Normandy, and if this continues, this will definitely be a problem for us getting into LAX's airspace. There you go. There's the spotlight. They got it again. But again, no ground units. Why continue to blow through these red lights? I mean, you don't want to see a stolen vehicle suspect get away, but the authorities on the ground don't seem to have a ton of interest in this. They're watching it from the helicopter, but if this person gets out and runs, they're going to have a very long lead time before any ground units can get up. I would say at least 30 to 60 seconds, you know, head start from any ground units that would come and try to slap some handcuffs on this person. So, I mean, I don't know. What more does this person want?
And you know something, Des? Again, this is the longest that this person has been on surface streets, right?
Yeah, we have been on surface streets for a good long while now. I think maybe 15 or so minutes at this point.
And you know, wonder why haven't they tried to get back on the freeway? Maybe they know they're running out of gas, or you know, we always think maybe they know where they're going, but at the same time, law enforcement is aware of the same thing. So as far as an opportunity, you would have more opportunity now than you would if the person got back on the freeway.
Yeah, and
look, 20,
and
30s. We haven't seen that.
Yep, and this may be our limit right here as we go down these surface streets, because we are up against LAX's airspace, and because they're off of the freeway, this is area where we are not allowed to tread when LAPD has one of their or any law enforcement airship is overhead, as LA County Sheriff's helicopter is. So we have to stop right here, and we're showing you this from a lens, and we'll see how long this continues. But they'll be able to continue to monitor this from the air. I just don't know what the point of that is if you're not going to have any ground units on standby. I mean, I guess if this person runs into a house, then you'll be able to, you know, they can let the authorities, they can let the ground units know, you know, what home they're in or something like that. But short of that, it's, I don't know, it's getting late, and it just doesn't seem like they're not 100% in on this. They're just
No.
not none of the agencies are at this point.
And you know what's so frustrating, Desmond? I keep saying that they've been on this surface streets for a long time, and when you get to see them, you know, driving at 20, 30 miles per hour, you're just hoping that, you know, that's the time that they probably or they possibly could have stopped this, whether they did a spike strip or a pit maneuver or something. You know, they had a more opportunity because the driver slowed down. But that's not the case because they're not following.
No, yeah. You know, I mean, part of the idea is to get this person to slow down, you know,
Yeah.
and the speeds are a bit more modest now at this point as we make a turn onto 49th Street. And so if that was the objective, you know, that has worked. And look, this vehicle is in their stolen vehicle database, and they know that. And the next time, if this person does get away tonight, then all it's going to take is for, you know, the police to get behind them again and try to pull them over again, you know, if they are going to get away tonight, as unfortunately this vehicle is beginning to get away from us a little bit.
Yep, on West 49th Street. Still going. That's the other surprising things about this. You know, they haven't stopped on their own or because the vehicle won't go any further. But they're winding through these side streets.
Over the 110. Yeah, yep. And you know, what's just so frustrating, Pat, is, you know, we've covered this for so long, and, you know, we want to see how this ends, and it looks like that unless this ends within the next few moments, we're not going to see how that comes to an end. Well, we'll see. You're coming back on Broadway right now, but you know, they've got to be low on fuel, and we're going to be low on fuel ourselves as well. That's how long this pursuit has gone on. So it's pretty crazy. It's just a marathon of a stolen vehicle pursuit.
And it really has been. There's no question, and it still is. And it is kind of difficult just to see because of how much you know, attention was paid to this in the beginning with law enforcement, and even with them backing off and then getting back involved. But this person, you know, is still driving away, going about his merry way, and is still not has not stopped. And we, as you mentioned, Des, we may not see this person being taken into custody tonight.
Yeah, and you know, second on the list of aggravation, besides potentially not seeing the end of this, is that In-N-Out is closed now, Pat. So even when we're done with this, we're not even going to be able to reward ourselves with a much-deserved double-double. I guess I'm going to have to save that for lunch tomorrow. You know, sometimes when we have these late nights, I'm always thinking about that.
Well,
but,
you know what? How many times have you talked about In-N-Out? But how many times have we talked about going out to dinner? So that, you know, that's just got to happen.
I know it. You know, now we're out of COVID times now. Now that things are safe, you know, very much would love to do that. You know, if it's I'll take anything between In-N-Out and Lowry's Steakhouse. How's that for a spread?
Yeah, because we mentioned Lowry's Steakhouse. You know, I would love for you to just come and pick me up and give me a ride in the chopper, but, you know, I know we can't do that here because we don't have a landing pad for you. But we've got to make that happen, Des.
So one of these days, absolutely.
Oh, for sure. And we've said that on the air so many times, so it's not just our word. We've got our viewers' words as well. And Desmond, I've heard that we can wrap this up.
All right. Well, you know, I hate to see no ending here, but sometimes that's just the way the In-N-Out double-double crumbles, Pat.
Yeah, boy, okay, now Desmond is going to go on and on with making these. But you know what? You're entitled to do that. And I have to say, there are a lot of viewers out there as well that are frustrated. They want to see this come to an end as well. But, folks, we got to let Desmond go home. He can't get an In-N-Out burger, but he's still got to get fed. So I'm going to wish you and Chris a good night, Desmond. And we'll do this again tomorrow.
Thanks for... All right, you got it, Pat. Hopefully not quite as late, but we'll see what Wednesday brings.
Okie doke. All right, that's a 10-4 on our side. And we want to thank our viewers for joining us on CBSLA.com and KCAL 9. And we'll see you tomorrow.
from the CBS Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, this is CBS 2 News.
Hold on to your hats, Southern California. The first big
coast, they're going to be in the southeast corner.
6806, southeast from Peak, southeast corner.
Hey, still units, I got you going west. You guys got something and we can help you?
You got a center suspect possibly at a westbound. Cool. Can you verify that?
He did not run run check.
Stand by. Stand by. Notify for from
State Central Unit, Avenue 0301 Whittier Boulevard at the ATM. 30-year code 2 incident 1798478. Contact Metro Speed 60 South over the west end of Monster Park, red purple mezzanine level, south the elevator for white dark floating refusing to exit 2 instant 181 NRD 246.
number.
Roger.
If I don't have any suspects in that vehicle, stand by for a description.
I'll say something. 12 centimeters.
60 Roger.
They're going to have a male on dark clothing, possibly on one on 12.
Okay, copy. We'll take a look. One suspect was seen on foot. Miss 12.
We'll get you to move in San Pedro.
Any sort of traffic unit, medium, we have 321 in San Pedro. San Pedro.
About east of Wall.
Alley north of 12th, east of possible suspect.
Anything from a location, please?
23 is requesting additional unit north-south north of east of Wall.
60, can I get an RA to Pedro for about approximately years of age, constant breathing on the side from a TC?
C12 is
Is the unit with a possible suspect have a code 4? Please, question. Well, now you need to take data backup, please. Question, we want to for.
you want to go back up or you didn't see? It says alley north of 12th. It is code 6 and a full suspect.
Anthony, show code 4. Thing.
It's code 4, no suspect at the 12 east of wall.
Yeah, dude, that's a call. Hey, be advised, there were 2 occupants, so any unit code 6 at that TA. I know you had a witness, and this guy was last in running. Confirmed the other day, a passenger wearing a gray or a
Anyone in the air said there are 2 suspects that were running.
All the media guys. Is that down? They all got in their cars and drove over here. How's it going, man?
This is fun.
Should work, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
You guys
It's just
What do you want right now? Do you have another?
no, I'm gonna take one. Yeah, Jack, help me.
Hey, what's the last word of the incident, please?
All right, guys.
Down on Pico.
Can I have you come down to the other end of the alley? Sure. You guys can still film as much as you want, but if I can have you down the other end of the alley, please. No problem, sir. You'll see there's some other relief group over there on the other end of the alley. On the other end of the alley. I'm actually just going to leave up the way. That's okay. If you want to go up that way, that's fine. Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Go check out the car again, guys. I was planning on going this way anyway, so he actually did me a favor right now. It's cold out here. Yeah. I was actually gonna walk through, and they were actually just wanting us to walk through. Is that down? I should have just walked through. Got over with it. We'll go over here, check out the crash again. A lot of cardboard here for you cardboard recyclers. Come get it. Come get it before somebody else does. Right here. On the alley. Yeah, that guy did me a favor because I was going to have to walk all the way around again. To have it all taped off. All I wanted is a picture of the Kia from this angle anyways. We already got the backside. Pretty messed up, huh, guys? It just needs a little body work, is that it? Sick one. Yeah, T-boned this other vehicle that's right here with the lights on. And I guess he ended up spinning out and crashing right there and got out and took off running. Hit it on the other side, on the passenger side. I guess like the passenger door area. Well, that was that, guys. All that 2-hour driving to end up right back here in downtown where we started. We should have just pulled over and waited till it ended, and we would have been right here. Like, oh, there they are. I knew they were going to land right in our lap. Imagine, we would have just pulled over and waited. Sick. Delete that video, my boy. That was a long one, guys. Delete that video, my boy. We're surrounding you. We're surrounding you. Sick one, huh, guys? Fuck. We're on a mission. Hell yeah, thank you guys for being here. It was an Elcor.
Fortunately, an innocent person was hit. That man, his SUV. But luckily, he wasn't hurt. Doesn't look like he was seriously hurt. And this guy was driving 100 something on the freeway, dude. I think he reached almost 130, and I seen him, he was at 126, so. At least one person was caught in the alley. We're gonna go over there right now and see. If you go back in the stream, I just came from there. You can go back like 5 minutes and just look where we're at. We're in the alley. One person was under investigation. He was getting detained, so I don't know. We can't. We can't say for sure because there's a lot of people out here. Just in that alley, there was that dude burning that flyer. There's a lot of people living on the street out here. And they all kind of dressed. Especially right now that it's cold, dude. Everyone's wearing a beanie and everyone's wearing a beanie and a flannel jacket. If it's your first time here, make sure you guys subscribe, dude. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you want live action news, you need to get the sub count up. I'm gonna push it up to like 100,000 now. Ways away, but if you don't want to see your local streamers quitting left and right, because that's what's starting to happen because the cost is too expensive, the gas price and everything, dude. At least subscribe so the viewer count could go up. Maybe they could run ads on the videos. Or at least it just makes it more likely that a video will go viral. And that could help tremendously help. Usually it's like 1 or 2 videos that brings you like all the subscribers. You get the right video, you get like 10,000 subs. Let's see if Jeremy's over here. Hey, sexy! You want to ride? Where are you gonna go? I don't know.
Where are you gonna go?
I don't know, bro.
This is my homie right here. This is AXN News.
What's up, man?
Go throw him a sub on YouTube and Twitch.
Where are you going?
Fellow Kia boy. I'm gonna go grab the car and just kind of cruise around for a little bit.
It's already late, dude. Nothing else is gonna happen. 2 o'clock.
Let's grab a taco after this.
All right. Maybe. I think I'm done, bro. I think I'm done for the night. All right. Later. Yeah, they're gone from the alley, bro. At least I got a little arrest video, interview video with the guy. I'll be putting this up probably. If you go to the very beginning of the stream, there's a passing shot early on in the fucking chase. That was over by LAX. Just go like no more than 5 minutes after the stream started, because I started it on Manchester and Sepulveda, and I got the passing shot over on Lincoln and I forgot what that street is, dude. When you go down into the marina from LAX. Did you guys get the description of the other guy? Well, they zipped that one guy. I don't know if they took him, dude. I left. They were detaining that guy, bro. I don't know. It could have been the wrong guy. Like I said, right now, dude, half the people are dressed exactly the same out here, bro. Flannels and beanies. So unless that officer that seen him jump out the car ID'd him. It'd be kind of hard too, man, because I don't know, were the cops on him here in downtown? I think once he got into downtown, yeah, they were waiting for him. But when he was coming from South LA on Broadway, they weren't. They were only the helicopter. Right when the news gave up, dude. You know the news stations are fucking pissed because they stopped like 3 minutes before he crashed.
The car is scrambled and the airbag is open.
What kind of car were you driving?
This one.
The black SUV?
The black, yeah.
Hey, sir, can I talk to you real quick?
Do you need me to get an ambulance here? So you're fine? Do you want me to get you an ambulance here? How old are you? How old are you?
This is the
las vueltas de aire se abrieron.
¿En este carro?
Yo venía en este carro, sí. Yo venía en este carro.
¿Y tú venías así?
Viene para allá, para el sur.
¿Y se cruzó aquí?
Este se cruzó. Jose Gonzalez.
Okay, and what happened tonight?
I come from north to south. This is the old I see because my car is scrambled and the airbag is open.
Did he crash?
Excuse me?
Did he crash?
I don't understand that word.
Crash the car.
No.
¿Te chocó?
¿Te chocó? Don't stop. It's green. The light is green for me. And the car don't stop here. The car is scrambled.
Are you injured?
No, I don't feel dirty. I feel good.
Did you see where they ran?
I don't see nothing because my car is like this, scrambled.
Can I talk to you real quick?
That's the victim. I think he took off. They got him. They took off to. I think they found the suspect somewhere down the street. Took off. It looks like he actually ran from the car. Airbags got off. Airbags went off in both cars.
Roger.
Thank you. Like, you can tell when the people are out here, who's out here buying drugs, dude, because they're usually young and they look out of place.
1427, 1427, cancel 249, 1413, Honda.
Thank you, 7. Correction, thank you, 15.
745 North of Buffalo Boulevard, it's a business incident 269.
David Robert, 179.
31 traffic stop on MLK and Main, 6 Mary, David Robert, 179.